I was ready to quit, but that one choice changed my entire life. I used to think that giving up was a sign of weakness. But on that one Tuesday morning, I was ready to embrace it. My name is Caleb, I am 32, and this is the story of how one tiny, seemingly insignificant choice, made on my darkest day, didn't just change my life, it completely reinvented it. It all started 7 years ago when I was 25. I had just launched my dream business, a small, artisanal bakery specializing in custom cakes and pastries. Baking wasn't just a hobby, it was my passion, my art, my escape. I had poured every penny of my savings, every ounce of my energy, and every fiber of my being into Sweet Serenity, as I optimistically called it. I envisioned a cozy little shop with a loyal clientele, the sweet aroma of vanilla and cinnamon wafting down the street. The reality, however, was a harsh slap in the face. The first year was brutal. Business was slow, painfully slow. My charming little shop often stood empty, the rows of perfectly crafted cupcakes gathering dust. I worked 16-hour days, 7 days a week, waking up before dawn to bake, spending my afternoons on marketing efforts that yielded minimal results, and my evenings on accounting that consistently showed me bleeding money. My parents, bless their hearts, were supportive but worried. My mom, Eleanor, 55, would call every other day, gently suggesting I consider a more stable career. My dad, Robert, 58, offered to lend me more money, but I stubbornly refused. This was my dream, and I was determined to make it work, even if it killed me. My best friend, Liam, 26, a pragmatic accountant, kept a wary eye on my dwindling finances. Caleb, he'd say, looking at my spreadsheets with a grimace, you can't keep this up. You're barely breaking even, and your mental health is taking a beating. He was right, of course. I was exhausted, stressed, and riddled with self-doubt. The joy of baking, once my greatest pleasure, was slowly being replaced by the crushing weight of financial anxiety and professional failure. The second year wasn't much better. A rival, larger bakery, Grand Delights, opened just 2 blocks away, instantly siphoning off what little traffic I had. Their prices were lower, their marketing budget was enormous, and their sleek, modern aesthetic made my cozy shop feel quaint and outdated. I watched helplessly as my few regular customers slowly drifted towards the shiny new competitor. I tried everything, new recipes, discount promotions, local advertising, nothing seemed to make a difference. The debt piled up. My landlord, Mr. Henderson, 60, a kind but firm man, was patient, but the overdue rent notices were a constant, stark reminder of my impending doom. I was 27, and I was losing everything. The vibrant vision of Sweet Serenity had faded into a bleak, gray reality. I started dreading going into the bakery, the once invigorating scent of warm bread now feeling like the stale air of a dying dream. My passion was extinguished, replaced by a hollow ache of defeat. The breaking point arrived on a Tuesday morning. It was pouring rain outside, mirroring the storm inside me. I had just received another overdue rent notice, a final warning. My bank account was almost empty. I had nothing left to give. I looked at the perfectly arranged pastries in my display case, each one a testament to my effort, and felt nothing but an overwhelming urge to cry. I had failed, spectacularly. I made the decision then and there. I was going to close the bakery. I would call Mr. Henderson, tell my parents, and finally, mercifully, surrender. The relief was immediate, a heavy burden finally lifted. I felt a strange sense of peace, the peace of giving up. What would you do in that situation? When you've poured your entire soul into something and it's simply not working, no matter how hard you try. As I sat there, contemplating the end of my dream, a small, elderly woman, probably in her late 70s, shuffled into the bakery. She was a new face, someone I hadn't seen before. She carried a worn, floral handbag and looked around with bright, curious eyes. Her name was Mrs. Gable. Good morning, dear, she said, her voice soft and slightly raspy. Do you have any ginger snaps today? Ginger snaps. I hadn't made ginger snaps in months. They weren't a popular item, and I had cut them from my limited menu to save costs. I looked at her, then at my empty ginger snap tray. I'm so sorry, Mrs. Gable, I said, my voice heavy with defeat, I don't have any today. I haven't made them in a while. She looked genuinely disappointed. Oh, that's a shame, she sighed, a wistful look on her face. My late husband, bless his soul, absolutely adored ginger snaps. He used to say yours were the best in the city, back when you had the little stall at the farmer's market, years ago. I've been looking for that taste ever since. My heart did a strange little flutter. Farmer's market, that was years ago, when I was just starting out, a hobby baker selling from a tiny stall. I had completely forgotten about it, and her husband thought mine were the best. It was a small comment, a fleeting moment, but it sparked something in me. A tiny ember in the ashes of my burnt-out dream. This woman, a complete stranger, remembered my ginger snaps from years ago. She remembered me. Tell you what, Mrs. Gable, I found myself saying, the words coming out before I had even fully processed them. Give me 20 minutes, I'll whip up a fresh batch just for you. On the house, she beamed, a genuine, crinkly-eyed smile that instantly warmed the cold, damp bakery. Oh, you're a sweetheart, dear. I'll just wait right here. That was the choice, the one choice that changed everything. Instead of finalizing my surrender, I decided to bake a batch of ginger snaps for a sweet old lady. It felt utterly insignificant in the grand scheme of my looming failure, but it was a choice, an action, a tiny spark of purpose. I went into the back, my movements sluggish at first, but as I started to measure the flour, the ginger, the molasses, a familiar rhythm took over. The act of baking, just for the pure joy of it, without the pressure of profit or success, felt surprisingly liberating. I kneaded the dough, rolled it out, and the familiar, comforting aroma of ginger and spice started to fill the air. It was a smell I hadn't truly appreciated in years. When I presented Mrs. Gable with a small bag of warm, perfectly spiced ginger snaps, her eyes lit up. She took a bite, closed her eyes, and a tear traced a path down her wrinkled cheek. "Just like I remember," she whispered. "He would have loved these." She insisted on paying, pressing a crumpled $10 bill into my hand. "You've made an old woman very happy, dear. I'll be back tomorrow for more, and I'm telling all my friends at the senior center about your wonderful bakery." I smiled, a real, genuine smile, for the first time in what felt like forever. It wasn't about the $10, it was about the connection, the simple act of bringing joy to someone through my baking. It was about remembering why I started in the first place. That afternoon, a few more elderly customers, friends of Mrs. Gable, came in asking for ginger snaps. And then more. Word of mouth spread like wildfire within the senior community. They loved the comforting, old-fashioned taste of my pastries, the quiet atmosphere of my shop, and the personal touch I offered. They weren't interested in the trendy, modern creations of Grand Delights. They wanted nostalgia, warmth, and a friendly face. It was a niche I hadn't even considered. My target market had been young professionals, foodies, and custom cake enthusiasts. But my unexpected clientele, the seniors, became my most loyal customers. They didn't care about my flashy marketing, they cared about genuine quality and a personal connection. I started adjusting my menu, bringing back classic, comforting treats, apple tarts, oatmeal raisin cookies, lemon bars. I decorated my shop with antique-style furniture, making it feel even cozier and more inviting. I learned their names, remembered their preferences, and listened to their stories. Sweet Serenity transformed from a struggling business to a beloved neighborhood institution, especially for the older generation. Liam, my pragmatic accountant friend, was utterly astonished when my numbers started to turn around. "Caleb," he said, shaking his head in disbelief, "you pivoted without even realizing it. You found your people." My parents were overjoyed. My mom finally stopped asking about stable careers, and my dad even started helping me with deliveries to the senior center. The debt slowly, painstakingly, started to shrink. The stress began to dissipate, replaced by the quiet satisfaction of a job well done, a purpose fulfilled. I never became a high-volume, trendy bakery. Grand Delights still dominates that market. But Sweet Serenity thrives. We host weekly tea parties for the seniors, bake custom birthday cakes for their grandchildren, and are a cherished gathering place in the community. My business isn't just about selling pastries, it's about warmth, connection, and a taste of home. That day, when I was ready to quit, that single choice to bake ginger snaps for Mrs. Gable changed everything. It wasn't a strategic business decision, it was an act of kindness, a rediscovery of my passion, and a humble reminder of why I started baking in the first place. It pulled me back from the brink, showed me a path I never would have found otherwise, and became the unlikely turning point that built my success. What do you think? Have you ever had a moment where you were ready to give up, but a small, unexpected choice changed everything? Let me know in the comments below. And if my story resonated with you, please give it a like, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more stories of unexpected triumphs.